Alright, welcome Algebra 2. In this video, I'm going to go over how we solve an absolute value function. So let's say that I give you an equation like this. Let's say I give you f of x is equal to the absolute value of x plus 7. Okay, now let's say that I tell you, let's solve f of x is equal to, let's say f of x is equal to, I don't know, 6. Okay. So what I'm telling you in this problem is, once again, if you're unsure how to go about this, look back in the video on explaining function notation, okay? But essentially, I'm telling you your y value, you need to find your x values. You need to find your x values. So if I tell you your y value, you have to find your x values. F of x is equal to 6, so we're going to replace this entire thing in here with 6. So we're going to get 6 is equal to the absolute value of x plus 7. Okay? All right, now for some of you, you may know how to go about solving this in your mind, right? What number plus 7 will simplify to get a 6? And really, when we really think about it, I'm going to set this up over here. All right? We want our answer to be 6. So if we think of the reason, the way that we're going to get that is this in here needs to simplify so that we can get the absolute value of whatever that number to get a 6. So over in this corner here, the absolute value of what number is going to give us 6? Well, one of those possible solutions is 6. The absolute value of 6 is 6. What's the other one? Well, the other one is negative 6. Because remember that the absolute value will take a negative number inside and turn it into a positive. So the absolute value of 6 is 6, and the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. Okay, so that means that this in here needs to simplify to either get 6 or it needs to simplify to get negative 6. And this is why we're going to break it up into two equations. We want this in here, x plus 7 to simplify to get 6, so that the absolute value of 6 would just give us 6. So we want this to equal 6. And this in here, we also want this to simplify to get negative 6, because the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. So over here, we're going to get x plus 7 is equal to negative 6. Okay? All right, what do we do to solve this problem? Well, we subtract 7 to both sides. Okay? And we're going to get x is equal to, well, what's 6 minus 7? That's just negative 1. Okay? Then we're going to subtract 7 to both sides. All right, and we're going to get x is equal to, all right, what's negative 6 minus 7? Well, that's negative 13. Okay, now what can we do to test this? Well, we can take our answers and plug it back in for x. We can take our answer and plug it back in for x and see if it works. So let's plug in negative 1 in for x. So negative 1 plus 7. All right, what's that? So what does that give us? Well, this is the absolute value of 6. Negative 1 plus 7 is 6, which is the absolute value of 6 is 6, which is exactly what we wanted. Perfect. As you can see, this right here is exactly this expression right there, which is why we wanted to set up the equations the way we did. All right, let's try. What's negative 13 plus 7? I'm taking this x value and I'm plugging it in for x. All right, well, that's going to be negative 6, the absolute value of negative 6. But what's the absolute value of negative 6? We have this right here to the left-hand side. That's just 6. which is what we wanted. So that's why we have two equations, all right? Hopefully this helps you to understand how to solve absolute value equations. Let's go ahead and now do maybe a problem that is a little bit more challenging. So let's have f of x is equal to the absolute value of x minus 4 plus 3. And let's say that we want to solve for when f of x equals 6. All right, so I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. You should try this on your own and see what you get. This tells us our y value is 6, so I'm going to replace this with 6. So we're going to get 6 is equal to the absolute value of x minus 4 plus 3. All right, I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides. Okay, we're going to get 3 is equal to the absolute value of x minus 4. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of scroll this down a little bit. All right, now once I'm at this point here, well, we know that the absolute value of 3 is 3 and the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. So we want to split this up into two equations. So we're going to get x minus 4 is equal to 3, and we're going to get x minus 4 is equal to negative 3. We add 4 to both sides. We get x is equal to 7, and over here we add 4 to both sides. We get x is equal to 1. And those are our two solutions right there. Now, one thing that we can always do is we can always plug it back in, either into our original equation and see if that makes sense. See if I plug in 7 for x and simplify if I get 6, or I could plug that in into here and see if when I simplify it in here, if I get 3 as the answer. All right, hopefully that helps. One last one that I'm going to do is one that's maybe another one that may be a little more challenging. So let's say f of x is equal to 3 times the absolute value of x plus 2. Okay, if I tell you f of x is equal to, let's say, I don't know, 21. All right, so let's set this equation up. So this is my y value. So try this on your own. Well, 21 is equal to 3 times the absolute value of x plus 2. Okay. I can't distribute this in here because we have the absolute value that's keeping this together. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is I need to divide 3 to both sides. Once I divide 3 to both sides, I'm going to get 7 is equal to the absolute value of x plus 2. Okay. Now, just like before, we're just going to split this up into two equations. 7 is equal to x plus 2, and negative 7 is equal to x plus 2, however you want to write it. All right, we subtract 2 to both sides. And we're going to get x is equal to 5. And we're going to get that x is equal to negative 9. That's my two answers. These are two more difficult questions. Hopefully this helps you to understand how we go about doing this.